Let's get rolling. Welcome to the fresh episode of CX BnB. Where we'll
Thanks.
explore the brain and backbone of great customer experiences. Today, our guest is Mr. Akhilesh Dwivedi, who's currently with Zepto. He brings with him 14 years of experience behind him with large enterprises like Tata Steel. You've been a Flipster, you've been with Amazon, you've been with Ola, and of course now with Zepto. Uh, with deep expertise in operations, process excellence, customer-centric designs, processes, and structures, I'm sure you've built great scale and efficient systems. And today we'll get into a learning opportunity with you, wherein we'll take and understand the actual journeys on the ground and your strategies which have helped you come across. Without further ado, I'll welcome you once again, Akhilesh, for spending time with
Thanks.
us. And we can just like you if you want to say a few words, and then we get to the specific agenda we have.
So just want to thank the platform, Acefone, and thanks to you for giving this opportunity. I'm actually quite passionate about operations and customer experience, and I have been doing those roles. So always jump on the opportunity to speak about it.
Absolutely.
Really would love to listen to your point of view and answer to the questions.
Perfect, perfect. Let's get started with the journeys
Okay.
which you had. You've been with different companies. You've been a person with a large juggernaut like Tata to Flipkart to an
Yeah.
emerging one with Zepto. Uh, what has been your definition of customer success, and how has it evolved over the course of your
Sure. So I would like to take example of what Jeff Bezos used to say. Right? Customers want three things: they want better pricing, they want really good speed,
Mhm.
and they want a reliable delivery, right? So how they define those things from time to time varies. 2015, 16, it was all about 5-day delivery, 6-day delivery. If the package comes to you, you are quite okay with that.
Yeah.
I ordered my first product in 2015 from Amazon, very happy. I still use it. It's a mixer grinder,
Mhm.
right? Come 2019, 20, and there was expectation of same day and next day delivery,
Mhm.
right? Customers still want speed, just the definition of speed has changed.
Yeah.
And come 2022, 23, customers want everything next day, thanks to Blinkit, the likes of Swiggy, Instamart, and so on. So customers maintain those tenets, but they keep redefining those tenets.
Yeah.
If you can anticipate that as a business, if you can keep building towards that expectation, you would obviously do well. So my key learning here has been that let's stick with these fundamentals: better pricing, great speed of delivery, and reliable delivery, which means your success of delivery should be as close to 100 as possible. Example is, there's something called FDDS, first delivery, first day delivery success.
Mhm.
So if you're attempting a shipment to be delivered on day one, how many times out of 100 times are you able to do it successfully? That
Right.
number should be 100. That's what I mean by reliability.
Uh-huh.
So speed, reliability, and better pricing. Customers keep redefining them. We have to keep chasing that as a business. So across the years, that's what my learning has been.
Awesome, and that is quite good to know. Simply because in when we talk of SaaS here,
Yeah.
pricing is definitely one of the important one. Plus, the software should be reliable. It should not come down, and the onboarding for
Hmm.
us. So technically, like we can do an onboarding in 4 days, 3 days. You can be up and running so fast. But yeah, if the use case is as trivial, it could be done in 4 hours too. So.
Yes,
Uh,
yes. Why not?
and that's where I can totally resonate with what you just said, and wow, that's quite nice to actually resonate on something which is on the first one. Awesome. So just to get into, since we have warmed up the stage now, let's get into your specific journey across 14
Sure.
years, wherein you mentioned that speed, reliability, and pricing. What have been your secret mantra which you have applied over the years to put method to madness? We all understand operations is, people always say it's chaotic. Well, easy said
Mhm.
than done. It's easy said than done. You can always bring a method to madness. And what has been your journey
Sure.
or approach to bring process excellence and making
So that's a good question. That's a really good question. So I mean, operations as a team has the most amount of opportunity to do and deliver a great customer experience.
right.
I'll explain why. Customer experience does not begin at the sales. It begins at the time you start procuring the raw material. You
Mm-hmm.
start processing them. You start dispatching them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at supply chain as a step-by-step process. And at each step, many things can go wrong. For
Right.
example, at Ola, I defined a cutoff criteria that I'm not going to accept a Tata Indica which is beyond 4 years old,
Okay.
because then the complaints start to rise significantly,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, at Zepto, when we accept fruits and vegetables, we do a strong arrival quality check, and that varies from SKU to SKU. Sometimes we break as many as 30% coconuts just to know that the rest 70% is actually good.
Wow.
It's up to us, right? Sometimes we break 10% of them and actually see what's the internals are looking like.
Mm.
Is it good hardness wise? It is good sweetness wise, and then we accept the lot. So point being, number one fundamental truth of customer experience is that your customer experience begins before you even start inverting your raw material. Then
Mm-hmm.
comes the processing. Processing is, if your machines are not up to the specifications, if your people are not trained well, they will really mess up, and the product that will come out of it as finished good will not be up to the mark. So there will be a lot of quality rejects, and sometimes when the quality rejects are high, it's easy to slip one or two in the finished goods, and those are what really causes customer experience to be poor. So you need to look at, let us take automotive industries framework for experience. So they have incoming quality, they have in process quality, they have on road quality,
Mm.
and they focus on these three things
Mm.
to make sure they deliver a super product, right? Focus on your process, and focus not just on trying to sell the product, but how to make the product great by working on these aspects, right? So I have always worked on the inputs,
Mm.
and those inputs, if done well, always deliver great result as a process. So that has been my mantra, be it Ola, be it Zepto, or even Amazon. So
Awesome.
you have to do that. Yes.
Fundamentally, what you're saying, you need to behave as a customer yourself to ensure that the way customer will see the product,
Yes.
you should see it the same way. That's what
Yeah,
fundamentally,
absolutely.
yeah, makes sense. Absolute, total sense, and uh, quite interesting actually. And since there is a lot of work which goes on the sidelines, I think it's quite important that, and most of the time I've seen is CX is driven by the people front ending the customers always,
Yes.
not the person who's selling, because those could be sold and go off.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Cool. And but just out of curiosity, Akhilesh,
Sure.
it's a hard thing to manage. I'll be honest, and,
Hmm.
and kudos to the time and the energy you spend on this. And what really attracted you to go after? I saw your LinkedIn profile the other day, and I saw that you
Okay.
were being, and I'm Lucknow alumni, and
I'm Calcutta alumni.
Calcutta. I'm sorry for that. Yes, Calcutta alumni. I'm Cal. Again, it's known for its fin, and
Yes.
you were in operation. So, what attracted you to be at the intersection of
Hmm.
operations and CX, and what was the background? There is an insider story I'd like to, of course, know.
So that's again a great question. So first of all, I am also a mechanical engineer,
Yeah.
right? So I always wanted to be in the core kind of a role. So that's why I joined Tata Steel, spent 6 years there,
Mhm.
working in depth in operations, maintenance, process improvement kind of things. So I think that I want to be part of operations comes very naturally to me. Second part is that why work at the intersection of the two, right? Like I said, if you work in operations, you will have the maximum opportunity to deliver a great customer experience, because operations determines, and operations has to be looked at through multiple lenses. There is an operations that is making the product or the service. There is an operations that is managing the customer, like customer services operations. Then there is an operation which is the product operation or tech operation, which is sort of always constantly improving the product offering or the business offering to the customer, right?
Absolutely.
Out of all these, operations, the core operations gives you the maximum opportunity. I'll take an example, right? If uh, as part of the process excellence team in Ola, the biggest problem we were facing was the riders or drivers completing the rides without really onboarding the customer.
Mm-hmm.
That's called ghost ride.
Mm-hmm.
So the ride is completed because they get a lot of incentives based on number of rides they complete.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was part of this process excellence, process improvement team, I was able to come up with this idea of handing over the power of starting the ride to the customer, not to the driver,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's how the idea of two-factor authentication and this OTP-based ride came in. Huge impact, huge impact. I mean, we simply jumped in rating, we jumped in NPS. Customers started, really writing great things about it. That now this is not a thing that Ola was known for, right? And we moved on to other problems,
Yeah,
right? I think I think it gives you a unique opportunity to start looking at every problem at the supply chain, start prioritizing the bigger problems, and
absolutely.
then start solving. So operations is, I fundamentally believe, is what drives the product and service quality, and that's the secret sauce of delivering great customer experience, right?
Okay.
So that's
Ac-
what has
Yeah,
keeping
quite
me.
an interesting one. That's a simple tweak of OTP. I remember
Hmm.
seeing that firsthand. And I'm not sure if Ola was the first one or Uber was the first one to implement
Ola
it.
was the first
Ola was the
one.
first. And then Uber followed and all the other
Yes,
operators followed. Yeah, I remember that. Yes. And early days, I still know that customers used to continue to shout. My wife has struggled. I remember that.
yes,
We were in Bangalore back then, by the way.
yes. Okay.
Quite interesting. All right. So, if if you can list out some of the tools, frameworks, or anything tech, since you're talking about tech,
Yeah.
which you've learned or figured out, okay, this definitely
Sure.
works, and would like to take your inputs around the same.
Sure. Sure. So I'll talk about a couple of examples here. First of all, let us cover the techniques. So the number one technique, and I am really serious about it, is that you have to got to read what customers write.
Yep.
So you, every time a customer gives a feedback, and if they take the pain to write a blurb about it,
Mm-hmm.
that's where your eyes and ears should be, because that's telling you what are the missing parts that you still need to fix. So as a customer experience, head, I always try to look at a weekly level, listen to either the calls of the customers or read the blurbs they write.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's one. That's a technique I always use. Second is the principle I want to talk about. Is the customer effort reduction principle. Okay. If you can, and I'll give you a couple of examples here. Before, so I was part of Amazon Home Services, and we launched this service of slotted delivery installation.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that service, the flow was that you book a television, you buy a television, the television gets delivered to you, and then somewhere in next 48 hours, someone will call you. And then,
Completely disoriented.
yeah. So the very first thing we did was, let us have a slotted booking right at the time of checkout.
Right.
Okay. So we know when our technicians are going to be available in next, let's say, 1 month, and at the customer's, convenience, from next, like from the hour of delivery until next 1 month, whenever they want to book a slot, they can do that, right?
Mhm.
So that's reducing the customer effort. Now the customer is only talking to you once at the time of delivery itself and at the time of booking the order, and they're done. Second, I will explain an example from Zepto. You would have seen there was a big campaign on LinkedIn about instant returns,
Yeah.
10-minute return. So you don't like it for whatever reason, you want to return it, please just place an order of return order. You don't have to talk to anyone. Before that, it was a person trying to convince the customer, trying to convince the CS agent why they want to return it, and then it goes in an approval flow, unnecessary friction for the customer, right? So
Exactly.
if a customer is good, based on their purchases, based on their ticket creation rate, based on their return rates, how good this customer is.
Yep.
Why can't you just trust the customer and give them that click of a button kind of a return capability, right? So this is the second thing that I really want to talk about. The third part will be the tools, right? So I think tools, you need to have a great CRM system,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have used a lot of CRM system. I've used Zoho CRM. I have used Capture as a platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at Amazon, it was a in-house CRM system. CRM system is super important.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, you need to also have a customer segmentation, customer ranking system, so
Mm-hmm.
that you can sort of segment your responses based on the customer you are trying to, early life cycle customer, new customer versus a old season customer, how you would treat them. So these are the tools and techniques that really come handy, and I have actually used them on ground to, so this is what I will have as an answer to this question.
Quite exhaustive. I just want to also highlight the CES bit, the customer effort. I mean, there's
Hmm.
a scoring method which I was reading some time back. Very important to, it's a very important metric to which feeds into CSAT, the CES, the customer effort score.
Yes. Yes.
And it's quite and powerful as a metric. I mean, I've even studied recently that if you track CES only, your CSAT you may or may not track at until a point in time. If
Yeah.
CES
Yeah.
is gradually improving, your CSAT is, it's a reflection of your CSAT in some ways or the other. If you don't want to
Sure.
integrate. But yeah, very important points, Akhilesh. I think just validating some of the things which we also believe here at Acefone and personally
Sure.
my end too. And just hanging on in terms of some process tweaks, if you can share certain examples which
Sure.
actually went down from improving a CSAT or internal efficiencies. Of course, you talked with on few with from an Amazon or a Zepto standpoint. If you have more from
Okay.
the other place, feel free to just add to this conversation.
Yeah. So keep process tweaks are very common.
Mhm.
And as I have moved on from Amazon, Flipkart to Zepto, the frequency of process tweaks has increased significantly.
Mhm.
Right. I'll give you an example of process tweak which significantly improved our CSAT score, and that was introduction of self-serve at Zepto.
Okay.
Okay. So returns typically have been a very high friction process by design.
Yes.
I think Mintra has done a great job of reducing it to a great extent, but Zepto has really pioneered it.
Mhm.
So self-serve feature allows you as a customer to just return at the click of a button. You need to choose a reason, and the customers can just return, replace, and they can also choose if they want to just return it, where they want their money to be credited to the original account or to the Zepto money, etc. So self-serve gave number one significant reduction in the cost of agent.
Mhm.
Okay, as high as 30-35% reduction immediately, right? I'm talking about like 2 weeks, 3 weeks into it, and it really went well. Customers were adopting it because of the simplicity of the the interface.
Mhm.
So a simple change as segmenting our customers and then extending this capability of self-serve goes a long way to not only give great customer experience but also give you great cost efficiencies.
Right.
You have to be, of course, extremely careful about in the initial days about the accuracy of it,
Yes.
which means that the reasons for which customers are coming in,
Yeah.
are those the right reasons? Are we giving the right resolution? And then you can do 1,000 layering of AI on top of it.
Mhm.
For example, customer shares an image of a rotten product. AI can actually determine whether it's really rotten and can immediately give a refund, right? So infinite possibilities, if you ask me. But again, the principle remains same, which is the customer effort reduction, right? So I have this is one example, right? If I talk about maybe another example from let me take for example the days of Amazon, right? So we spoke about the slotted delivery service.
Yes.
But what if customers really want the television to be delivered and they just really want to watch it? What if you bought a TV right before Australia, England, Asia starts, right? So you really want, you're into cricket, you really want to watch it. So for that, you have to have a service which immediately gives the delivery and installation all at the same time. That's called unified delivery and installation. Although it's not a minor process tweak, but
Major one.
it's a
Kind of
significant.
a refining, reimagining, right?
Yeah. So it's redefining the service. But then what I wanted to bring home the point is, if you can create a service which is slightly ahead of its time based on certain tweaks you can make, like have the delivery guy and the installation guy shadow each other, go to the customer doorstep, do all the job, and then just move on, right? This gives you strategic advantage,
Mhm.
right? That service was like exclusively used by OnePlus TV launch in India,
Uh,
and that was an Amazon exclusive launch, right? So so such strategic wins you can get if you are able to create something really futuristic, or at least ahead of its time, which gives great customer experience, but at the same time also allows you to win great deals with the
un
with your own partners.
Understand. And when you are, just to you ask a follow-up on this one,
Sure.
when you are actually trying to go through these process tweaks and improve the customer experience, how do you bring in alignment between your team or
Okay,
support
sure.
or tech or a product? There are many stakeholders, and the product teams will always be like, यार ये क्यों करें, अभी हमारे पास बहुत काम है? And how do you get
That's a
these
great question.
slotted in?
So I'll take, I'll you, the question you have asked separates good organizations from the great organizations.
Yeah,
Okay. A lot of organizations are great at creating SOPs for their internal department purposes.
yeah,
Okay. So customer services will create a great SOP how to handle a customer.
yes,
But great organizations go a step further and they create SOPs how the departments will interact with each other.
correct.
Amazon is one such organization, amazing at it, right? So there are three, four tools and techniques that, or techniques rather, that you can use. Number one, you have to first of all create a purpose document, a
Right,
narrative, why it is important.
correct.
Circulate that narrative to all stakeholders, have their buy-in. In Amazon, it is called PRFAQ, right? So that's one. Number two is you have to have a weekly or a monthly or maybe both kind of a cadence where you do a check-in on
Mm-hmm.
the progress.
Mm-hmm.
And number three, for internal coordination between departments, can we create a tool,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'll give a very good example. So a lot of times when we invert the inventory at the warehouse, sometimes we make a mistake that it's a large shirt, but I have marked it as a small shirt.
Mm-hmm.
So when the customers buy it, they buy a small shirt, but they get a large shirt,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which means that if a wrong product inwarding has been done or is about to be done, someone in the warehouse should be able to tell the catalog team there is something wrong with the product.
Mm-hmm.
The tag is wrong, the color is wrong, etc.
Right,
And
right,
they should be able to act on it. Can you do that over email? Answer is very, very limited. Answer is no. You have to create a ticketing system for that.
correct,
On top of that, whether the system is working or not, you need to create a dashboard.
correct.
How many tickets created? How many tickets closed? So,
Governance.
so mechanism. I'm talking about the mechanism, right? You can create a mechanism. So number one, the purpose document. Number two, the SOP, how
Mhm.
inter departments will work. Number three, a tool. And number four, a check-in cadence, right? You actually have to do all if you really want to create impact and do things quickly,
Correct.
correct? So this is what I have done, right? Get a buy-in, and then there are many other techniques as well. You can always, go to the heavier or the costlier guys and have them aligned to the purpose, and things move faster that way, right? But fundamentally speaking, if you believe in the cause, if you write it with the right intent, and then the real narrative comes out,
Yeah,
people will buy into that, and then you have to give these mechanisms, the SOPs, the systems, the mechanisms, the dashboards, so that people can. And I have seen people rally around the idea. If all these things are in place, they really think they are part of something truly serious,
correct. And it is
right?
creating a great impact also.
Yes.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And so if since you've worked with many teams, how do you
Hmm.
actually manage your own team? I mean,
Hmm.
how do you coach your, if you have to, so my boss used to always ask me, आशीष अगर देखो अपने जैसे 10 और आशीष बनाने तो कैसे करेगा? So if you have
Okay.
to multiply yourself and your thought process within your team, how are you mentoring? How are you coaching?
Okay.
And what is there a specific secret which you've figured out so far? Sure, would like to understand that. Say.
Okay. So the very first thing is that, I mean, there are two ways you can make a team. Either you can create a team by interviewing folks, or the team will be given to you, and then you can maybe train them, coach them, right? Coaching has many styles. There is a HBR article which mentions like 6 styles of leadership, right? There is coercive, there is authoritative, there is pace setting, there is coaching, there are 6 different styles, right?
Yeah.
I think the best way you can manage it, first you have to be extremely good at the work that this particular org is trying to do.
Yeah.
So if you are trying to solve customer experience, you should be the loudest and the most, I would say, sincere voice in the room about it.
Yeah.
You have to be the expert in that, so subject matter expert, right? What I try to do is I sit with folks and I show them how in better understanding of the problem will lead for them to get better solutions,
Right.
which means I take a project myself,
Mm-hmm.
and that project becomes a template for people to follow suit, right? That's one. Second is you have to always give the team a sense of bigger purpose. People who are sitting in tech offices trying to code probably do not know how their code is going to be used.
Absolutely.
But if they get to know that the new type of cart that they have created allows customers to get 20% more discount, and at the same time reduces the cost of company by 10%, I think they will be more driven to do that.
Absolutely.
So how do we
The
involve
more
those?
transparent you are, the better the outcome. Yes,
Yes,
correct.
right. That's the second aspect. And the third aspect is how can I still reduce the work for my own team and have them do the quality work.
Mm.
So if they are drawing, extracting data every day, creating pivots out of it, no, I think I will talk to the analytics head and create a dashboard for them,
Correct.
right? So that they move on to the quality task. So these are some basic things. If you talk to any good manager, they will say you say the same things, I'm sure, right? But doing it is hard. Doing it is hard. So creating a template that they can follow in, giving them a better sense of purpose by exposing them to the business plans, exposing them how their work is impacting the bigger things. And then third is you know sort of unblocking them whenever they hit a roadblock, and always reducing their effort and making them move on to the quality work rather than a mundane work.
Sure.
These are the things that I really have really served me well.
Perfect. I think that's actually, well, resonates with me again because there is always a purpose mastery. I mean, in tech, there is a concept called you provide a purpose, you provide them autonomous,
Yes.
way of working, and you ensure that there is mastery in whatever they're doing. Of course, you hired skills and so on.
Yeah, yeah, very true.
So fundamentally, it remains the same irrespective of the work or the style you work in or the organization you work in, the department.
Yes.
It's
There is a book I would recommend if you want to. I'm sure
yeah,
you would
yeah,
have read
sure,
already. There's a book
absolutely.
called Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Yeah, yeah, I've read it. I've read it, and that
So
is the thing which you referred. And
mm,
there's a very, very nice book, and I've read it
yes,
also on a flight, Mumbai, Delhi. Very quick read, all too. So,
yes, yes.
and but very
Sure.
informative. Right, right. Cool. I think before we sign off, I'd like to understand more around the world of AI, which is evolving, especially when it comes to voice. Uh,
Sure.
and how do you see this world evolution or evolving to the world of
Okay.
voice bots, chat bots? Do you think human touch still has the same it has the same level of efficacy and so on, or you see AI will definitely take us to a different world and so on? How do you perceive these changes
Okay.
in the world of voice bots, chat bots,
Hmm.
automations and so on? Automations, of course, are adding efficiency, we understand, but
Yeah.
voice bot and chat bots, what are your thoughts around it?
So great question again. I mean, first of all, whether AI is expanding its coverage of work, the answer is yes.
Mhm.
Right. When I had stepped into Zepto and 2 years out, I can clearly see the amount of AI applications that have gone into resolving customer queries and the reliance that we have built on the bots.
Mhm.
And this is like really good. We have been able to reduce our cost and so on. Coming to the human element, so it's never a binary thing, right? It doesn't work this way that the machines take over then humans go out. It's a very, very gradual, very much like the Darwinian adaptive process,
Mhm.
which takes maybe hundreds of years,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So the just because the AI has started getting implemented doesn't mean it will take over. There was a time I was hearing Narayan Murthy say this, that back in the before the dot com bubble burst, there
Mhm.
was a program that was created. I'm forgetting the name of that program, which was arguably a program which would create more programs.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
suddenly people thought that, you know what, I don't think we need programmers anymore. We have programs that can write programs.
Mhm.
And like 40 years out, we still have,
Same.
30 years out at least, we still have programmers, right?
Yes. And it's
What
still
ends up
increasing.
happening is,
It's increasing.
yeah, what ends up happening is you can divide the task in two parts.
Mhm.
The task that does not require a lot of cognitive skills, and
Mhm.
the tasks that actually require a lot of cognitive plus maybe emotional skills.
Right. Awesome.
And as AI becomes more intelligent, they will start taking over these mundane and less cognitive tasks,
Mhm.
right? And um, then the more human tasks will be handled by humans. So I would say the volume of work that our agents are doing has reduced but not eliminated.
Mhm.
And yes, the more mundane, the dumb tasks that AI is doing. There was a very nice Neil deGrasse Tyson is the scientist. I'm
Mhm.
sure you would know him.
Mhm.
So he told that the best computer that we have and the best AI engine that we have today is still not enough. Like the ones that Nvidia is creating, right? The kind of robots they are creating
Yeah, yeah,
still doesn't surpass a chimp's brain.
yeah.
It still doesn't surpass a chimp's brain in terms of intelligence, right? So we have a very long road ahead. people will be required, but yes, the dumb tasks, the easy to do tasks, and the tasks where cognitive load is not required will be handed over to AI, and that is happening as we speak. I think if you want a quantitative answer, 25% work will still be in the hands of people. 75% can move on gradually over many years to the
Any,
machines.
yeah. So it may move 2-3 basis points or 2-3% every year or something like that. Yeah,
Hmm.
man. Actually, that's a great insight, Akhilesh. Thank you. I
Sure.
think great conversation. The last
Same here.
few minutes were quite knowledge. I mean, it helped me form a lot of information around the CX, especially when it comes to the formation of tech. It gives me great inputs of how our customers are actually perceiving, or how our audiences are perceiving these
Sure.
journeys. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you
Uh,
so much.
Thank you for this conversation. Great having
Sure.
you. And
Same here. Thank you so much. Really look forward to maybe connecting again soon.
we'll
Yeah.
catch up once we are around in each other's city, man. Surely would like to
Sure.
meet.
Sure. Sure.
Uh,
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks.
buddy. Bye bye. Bye.